everyone. I hope you are having an excellent day, and welcome to the third episode of Let's Talk Sports with Samantha O'Connor. I am your host, Samantha, and on the show we will cover any and all sports things where I give my opinion while also providing any breaking news or headlines that there might be. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the NHL and the trade deadline that just happened. Alright, let's just hop right in. So, the trade deadline just passed as of the time that I am filming this episode. And it was both overwhelming and underwhelming, I have to say. There were a lot of smaller deals and a lot of big deals. And right now we're going to talk about the big deals, and I think the biggest one, in my opinion at least, was the Bruins sending their captain, the guy that's been on the team for 16 years now, Brad Marchand, to Florida. Not just any team. It's not like they were just trading anyone. No, they traded their captain to one of their rivals in the Florida Panthers, which is just crazy to think about. And the stuff that's coming out now about like the contract extensions and how they only offered him like a 3-year deal with $3 million a year or something, like, it just shows you the respect that the Bruins management team has, I guess, for their players. And it's not just Marchand that they sent places. They traded like so many players of theirs, and it's now just like Pastrnak that's like, Pasta's like the only one that's still left, it feels like. And now I'm not a Bruins fan, but even the Marchand trade did kind of hurt. Like, it just came unexpectedly, especially because it came after the deadline was like technically done. So that's crazy. The other big one that I wanted to talk about was Mikko Rantanen going to the Dallas Stars. I think it was kind of expected that he was going to be traded, but there was a lot of up in the air parts. I mean, people on Twitter were making jokes about how every like NHL beat reporter was just like, they had no idea what was going on. But he ended up with Dallas, and like the Marchand things coming out after the fact are interesting. Like, Mikko was talking to the media and was talking about his time in Carolina and was saying that he was thankful that it was over, that it was fortunately put to an end, which kind of sucks for Carolina fans. I can understand why they're mad, but at the same time, the dude played there for less than 20 games. Like, he didn't want to get traded originally from the Avalanche, so I'm not surprised to hear that he just did not enjoy being in Carolina, but to each their own. And speaking of Rantanen, one of the teams that people expected him to go to the most was Toronto. It was just reported that they were very much high on getting him, especially if they could sign him to an extension, because you have looming free agents like Mitch Marner that are going to be an interesting topic. And speaking of Mitch, Toronto actually asked him if he would be willing to waive his no-move clause in his contract to be traded to Carolina for Rantanen, and he said no. You know, that's his own thing. I don't think it would have been a good deal myself. I think Toronto fans are split on social media about that he should have allowed them to trade him, and then others are like, well, there was no reason to trade him. So yeah, the Rantanen thing is an interesting thing. I feel like he's caused a whole lot more drama for this season than anybody would have thought. So yeah, interesting thing. For stronger and weaker teams, I'm looking through at the power rankings for the day that I am filming this, which is March 13th. Like, you know, the Sharks, the Blackhawks, even the Sabres, like, not a lot going on for them. They're still at the bottom of their power rankings, they're not doing well. Same with like the Penguins and the Kraken. Like they're not having great seasons. But like I think teams that really improved via the deadline, I feel like the Stars obviously coming out with Mikko Rantanen, and he seems excited to play there. I think they could be a strong team going into the playoffs. I mean, they had a strong playoff run last season. They just got stuck in the tracks of the Edmonton Oilers. But I would also say that the Panthers are pretty much winners of this whole deadline thing, getting Marchand and everything, as well as Seth Jones from the Blackhawks. I think they're going to be an even stronger team. They're already a powerhouse for that division, so I think it would be interesting once Marchand gets back from injury and he's playing regularly. Some losers, I mean, we mentioned the Boston Bruins and them sending everyone, it felt like, to other places and are starting to rebuild. I think they're going down a path for some dark years, unfortunately. I think they're not going to be as strong, but at the same time, I'm not aware of like their depth, so they might have some young guys coming in. You never know. They also got a lot of like trade prospects, whatnot, trade picks, draft picks, I mean, sorry. So yeah, I think they'll be a little wishy-washy for the next years. But that is what it is. And before we get into talking about the playoffs, for those of you who don't know, I am also a Washington Capitals fan. So I have been obviously staying up with the good old Alexander Ovechkin and his goal count. He, as of right now that I am filming this, he is broken under 10. He is 8 away from tying Wayne Gretzky, and he is 9 from passing, which is just crazy to think about. I mean, it's year 20 for him, and nobody thought that anyone was going to get even close to Wayne Gretzky and that scoring title. But here we are, single digits. So you never know what could happen. I mean, he had that hat trick a few weeks ago against Edmonton. He's capable of anything, so be on the lookout for that. Hopefully he reaches it. I think he's gonna at least tie this season, but we'll see. Now, let's get into the playoffs. All right, I'm looking at the standings right now, and it is going to be an interesting year. I can already tell you. Right now, in the Eastern Conference, the Atlantic sits Florida, Toronto, and Tampa as the top 3 spots. Metropolitan, you have the Capitals, Hurricanes, and Devils. And then the wild card is the Senators and Blue Jackets. I think the wild card is going to be the talk of the East, as well as first place for the Atlantic. The Leafs have been struggling lately. They've been picking up points here and there because they've been going into overtime, but they need to start winning games in regulation, picking up as much points as possible if they want to get to Florida or past Florida and stay in first, because they've been struggling. I think Tampa will probably stay in the 3rd spot, but right now they're sitting at 78 points, and Toronto, who's in 2nd, has 81. So it's a tight race going on there. Now for the Metropolitan, I think the Caps are stealing. I mean, they're in the top. They're the top team in the league. They have 94 points right now. Like, they're carrying that division. So I don't think there's much to discuss in that one. The wild card, though, is going to be interesting. I mean, you have Ottawa that has not been in the playoffs for I don't know how many years at this point, and they've been struggling, and they are right now sitting in the number 1 wild card spot, which is kind of crazy, but they only have 73 points, and Blue Jackets have 70, and then from there it's like 69, 68. There's like 3 teams that have 68 points. So it's going to be a tight race going down the line, the closer we get to the end of the regular season. And that'll definitely be a race to look out for. I think it's also interesting that the Devils right now are holding the 3rd spot in the Metropolitan, because like they started off really strong. They played really well, whatnot, and then it was like they hit a rough patch and they just were not doing well at all. But they've picked up now, but they are facing a lot of injuries right now. I mean, the big one being Jack Hughes, who just had shoulder surgery, and he's out for the rest of the year, which is a hard blow for them. They're also down defensemen, I believe, so it'll be interesting to see where they end up by the end of the season. Now let's talk about the Western Conference. Central, you have Winnipeg, the Stars, and Avalanche. Pacific, you have the Knights, Oilers, and Kings. I think kind of... Oh, and then the wild card is Minnesota and Calgary. I think you have a pretty normal picture going on over here. Like, I think the top teams are kind of where you expected. Winnipeg is tied with the Capitals right now with 94 points in the league, and I think they're stealing the Central Division very easily. The Stars and the Avalanche, 86-81 points. I think they're going to be sitting up there for the rest of the time. Pacific, you have 83, 78, and 77. So the 2 and 3 spot are going to be interesting, as well as the wild card, because the Wild right now are in the first wild card spot. They have 78 points. So the Kings being in that 3rd spot comes down to like goal differential and stuff. I think the top 3 teams in the Pacific, and then whoever is in the Wild, that's going to be the thing to watch. You even have like the Canucks right now that are on the cusp of being a wild card spot, with 71, which they're tied with the Flames with. And I don't think anyone is really expecting them to be there, because they have been really struggling this season. And I mean, they dealt with the Quinn Hughes injury. There was the locker room drama between Elias Pettersson and JT Miller, and there's been so much going around the Canucks this year. So it's been interesting, but I don't think anyone expected them to be there, at least at this point in the season. But oh well, here we are. So I think that'll be an interesting matchup to keep an eye on. And for the Western Division, I think it will all come down to like goal differential and the nitty gritty things that help determine playoff spots. I mean, the Sharks and the Blackhawks are same with the Predators. Like, they are very much going to be at the bottom of the list. Not much hope there, but you've got close teams going on right now. Points are going to be very important down the stretch, especially regulation wins. But we will see. There's less than 20 games left in the season. Anything can happen. Like, you really never know what surprises might arise, and it'll be interesting to see. So, yeah, that is all the time that I have for this episode. I wanted to thank you for listening and tuning in. Keep an eye and ear out for the next episode, which will be covering the NWSL and the season that is just now beginning. Again, thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.